Okay, with the engine parts having been painted and dried, what I now want to do is sort of bring out all the detail, bring it into relief. So what I do for that is a wash. I'm going to use Payne's Grey here, Winsor & Newton colour. I use a very thick wash. It's how I like to do this. So I'm just going to put a little bit into this tin here, and thin it back a little bit with some enamel thinner. This is good quality enamel thinner. As you can see, it's Tamiya. So just a couple of drops of thinner. Okay, that might still be just a little bit thick. So I'll add a few drops more. Mix it up. So we've got something here that's very liquid, but is still quite thick. So what I'm going to do is just paint all over the cylinder blocks here with this mix, and it immediately settles into the detail, leaving the metal as the highlights. More or less just the effect I'm looking for. Simple as that, really. Simple as that. I tend to use quite a lot of washes in my modelling to bring out various details. Now I'm going to add a wash to the magnetos, excuse me, and the gearbox housing here. I do want that to be a little bit thinner, so I'm going to thin the wash back even a fair bit more than it is already, to quite a thin mix for that, because I don't want it obscuring detail. I literally just want it to highlight the detail. So a bit more careful in the application, not quite so heavy in application. The thing about oil paints is it will dry in an hour or two to a point where you can paint over it and do that sort of thing, but you've got a long while to remove excess at your whim. If you think there's too much on there, you can remove it, or if you want to polish some of it away. It's why I prefer, I still prefer oil paints for my washes. I do have things like Phil Flory's Pro Modelers washes, the dark and the light wash. Very useful. I do use them from time to time, but I tend to use them in a bit of a more limited way. I don't generally tend to use them for overall washes. For most of my washing on models is done with Payne's Grey oil paint. I'm happier that way. It's just the way I've stuck with over the years. Call me a Luddite if you fancy. So they're done now. We'll be back when that oil paint's dry enough for me to remove the excess, and we'll take it from there. Okay, with the engine, the actual engine cylinders themselves painted, I've allowed the Payne's Grey wash to dry, and I've just basically I've polished off the excess with some cotton buds. The magneto and gearbox housing has obviously been painted as well, washed, and that's been wiped off. What I've now got to do, having painted the push rods black, is I have to add a remarkably fine piece of etching. I'm just trying to find a pair of tweezers here that'll allow me to do the job. The actual ignition harnesses are provided in this model as an incredibly fine piece of etching, which I now have to try and locate. I have to be honest, I don't like etched metal that much. I'm not very good at using it. But I'm referring to the instructions here, and it's showing me the orientation for this harness, so I will give it my best shot. And well, what can you say? Made to measure. It's actually popped on there very nicely, no problems whatsoever. So what I'm going to do, he says, put that to one side and use some very, very thin, some of the super thin super glue I have. Here somewhere, he says. There we go. And I'm just going to add a couple of tiny little dabs of that super thin super glue to the ignition harness, and hope that that will hold it in place. It will run around the gap between the harness and the engine itself and secure it in place. In fact, I appear to have got a tiny drop of glue where I didn't want it as well. So in order that I don't end up scraping the glue away, what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue the gearbox straight on as well, and get that all into one place and together. A little bit of trimming to do on the back here where I had super glue on it. And run a bit of glue down there to soften the paint, and locate that. So that engine is now structurally complete. The only thing I need to do now, I need to paint the ignition harnesses black, and then fold them over to their relevant cylinders when I'm happy that the paint's dry far enough. So I'm just going to I'll do that, and I'll be back with you when that's done.